Here we're looking at the Stihl RMA 460. This is a battery electric lawnmower. It is not self-propelled, it is push, and it's a 19-inch cut. So it's definitely for the smaller size yard or somebody who wants a lot of exercise. First impressions of this mower are very good. In a push mower, there's nothing more frustrating than a wobbly handle, and this handle system, although it's still foldable and adjustable, it is very sturdy with very little flexing. You feel like all the input you're putting into the handle is moving the mower forward. That is also partially because the large, sturdy wheels, this machine rolls quite easily. Quite a nice machine with the orange and black with that off-white coloration also. This comes with a bag on the back. You can also side discharge or mulch. If we look here, of course, we're missing a gasoline engine. That is the electric motor. And if we pop up the hood, what we've got is a battery storage position and then a battery run position. So, and then also we have eco mode or full power mode. And if we release the battery here, we can put it into the run position. We can see this one is an AK30 battery. So this runs on Stihl's AK battery series, which is all 36 volt. And this one, the largest in the series, is 4.8 amp hours. So basically we've got the AK10 is 2 amp hours, the 20 is in the middle, and then the 30 is the largest at 4.8 amp hours. So that's how long this battery will last. We'll pop it in there. We've got a little gauge on it to show us we are at full power. We've charged the battery. We will leave eco mode on for this case and test this thing out. Let's take a look at the business end of this machine under the cutting deck. This is a Stihl cutting deck. We've got a single blade. Interesting design here. We also have a fan on here for airflow. And we've got some of these grooves to directionally contour the grass as it's coming into the front of the deck. So I'm very interested to see how this mower deck cuts. I'm assuming this blade is replacing the lift on the blade that normally acts as the fan to blow grass out the discharge chute or back into the bag. So that's an interesting design, probably saving a little bit of energy there. It takes a lot of force to move that air. So they must have thought that's a little bit more efficient design. I'm also very curious to see if that helps out our mulching. Pretty lightweight too. That also probably saves a lot of weight on the blade. So for this one, we've got a relatively small amount of energy compared to gasoline in that battery. We have to be more efficient. And this rotating assembly seems quite light, and that's probably helping its efficiency. But overall, looks like a cool design. Looks like there's some things that should help our quality of cut. I'm very curious to see if that is actually the case. Of course, we have no gasoline engine, so there's no need to pull a rope to start this. All we have to do is hold the orange button, put this safety bar back, and we're ready to go. We're going to start off relatively easy. I'm going to bag the front yard here. There's not a lot of grass to cut, more or less leaves to pick up. So we're going to test out its bagging capability. I'm going to set a timer here and see how much battery we use, because that's a big thing. If we have to stop after 10 minutes, that's no bueno. So let's set a timer. Let's go. fills the bag up quite full. That fan mechanism definitely is working. Even without clearing this out, look at this. We're gonna leave that in there, start it up. And it clears that out on its own. Pretty cool. That's a pretty nice machine. Just 10 seconds short of 20 minutes. I kept going because it's such a pleasure to cut the grass with it. It's getting windy, so I've got leaves blowing all over the place. I'm gonna have to do this again, obviously. There's a lot of leaves left up in the trees, but it cut very nice. I'm impressed with the quality of cut. Walk behind lawnmowers normally deliver the best cut because they've got the smallest cutting width, and they're able to conform to the terrain better than the large decks of ride-on lawnmowers. Anyway, this one does very good. Of course, bagging, also airflow is good. So let's see what we've got left on the battery. So it's saying half a charge, 2 out of 4 bars. That's 20 minutes of bagging. Most of that time I spent on eco mode, but the eco mode on this mower is pretty good too. What I didn't realize beforehand, it drops the RPM when you're going, but if it senses a heavier load or if it's bogging, it kicks the RPM up. So it's an intelligent eco mode. It doesn't just put you down into a low power state and not adjust. So it's good enough that I would just run this thing in eco mode, save battery when you can, but when it senses a little higher load, boom, it kicks up the power. And I did not have a single time where it bogged down. I had to slow down or stop. I had some really thick areas of leaves that I slowed down a bit just so it could process those. But as far as power wise, not an issue. I think you could push this thing as fast as you want if you just have grass, and it's not going to bog down for you. So definitely a win there. Let's get the battery charged up, clean the thing up, and we're going to try some mulching. Switch over to mulching. All we have to do is open up the flap and put this plug in. This slides into place, and the door holds it in. Now we're ready to mulch. We'll pop out the battery. Again, after 20 minutes of bagging, we're half full. We're going to give this a full charge, swap over to mulching, and see how long we can last on mulching. To charge, all we have to do is slide this thing in our charging base and wait till the green bars get up to full. The Stihl brand is legendary for its reliability of its gas engines, and because of that you would think maybe you're going to have to pay a premium for this mower over other brands, but that's actually not the case. Bare tool here, we're talking $250. With the AK30, so the large battery and a charger, you're looking at $399, so $400. That's right in line with all the other brands. And I would say build quality and that reliability that Stihl is known for is evident on this electric model also. So far it's been a pleasure to use. Let's see how long it can mulch and do our due diligence there, but so far so good with this mower. I'm impressed. All right, it took about 1 hour and 15 minutes for us to get a full charge on the AK30 battery. This is one of these slower chargers that they have. You can get a faster one if you want. Let's see how long this one lasts mulching. All right, we've got a bunch of leaves on the ground and some grass to cut. We're cutting fairly high today, but this should be a relatively good test. Let's see how many minutes of runtime we get on one battery. Mulching. So it's been just over 15 minutes, 16 minutes of mulching. This is a pretty hard job with the amount of leaves. And the battery's now blinking 1 bar. And I've been in eco mode the whole time, but the RPM hasn't come down just because the load is so high. But when it went to 1 bar, the RPM dropped down into eco mode. So we'll keep going here, see how long we can cut, but the power has been reduced the last about 10 seconds here. So let's see how this ends up and what our total mow time is. I went to start again, but it won't let me start it again with the battery that low. So I'm gonna call it 16 minutes, 30 seconds total mulch time. Again, this is the extreme. We're not just cutting grass, we're mulching up a bunch of leaves. So total mow time was 16 minutes, 30 seconds mulching. Again, those were extreme conditions, a lot of leaves, using a lot of power. The good news is during that time, power was not an issue. It never bogged down on me. Great power all throughout. Even when it went to lower RPM, still didn't really bog down. If you've got large areas that you want to mow all at the same time, you're going to need multiple batteries, but that's always an option. You can just pick up extra ones. If you have 2 of them in normal conditions, you'll probably get about a half hour of run time just mulching grass or bagging or side discharge. So that 2 batteries will get you about an hour of run time. So you got to evaluate, does that work in your particular situation or not? One other thing to note on use, this thing is a pleasure to push. I never miss self-propelled at any time. Due to its lightweight, as I mentioned, the sturdy handle, the overall frame is really sturdy, and the wheels are very free rolling. So really do not miss self-propelled at all. I would recommend skipping that option. Unless you use the mower to pull yourself along, then you might need it, but otherwise, you don't need self-propelled on these lightweight electric mowers. Let's take a look underneath this thing and see how clean it stayed during that mulching. Wow, it's very clean. I'm very surprised. The design of this little blower in the center and the blade and the way the airflow must clear this deck out pretty good. Other machines I've mulched with tend to turn the grass into guacamole, and it gets jammed up underneath everything. It just plugs it up. Of course, I had a lot of leaves in the mix. They were relatively dry. That does have a clearing effect, kind of dilutes the grass. But I expect this to be a pretty good mulcher. The biggest negative with mulching machines are if you've got grass that tends to lay down, rather fine bladed grass, this in mulch mode is not going to suck that up and cut it off. You're going to have to rely on the grass standing up on its own. Otherwise, you're going to want a bag or side discharge to get that airflow coming through there and pulling that grass up. But overall, this looks quite good. So where do I stand on this? The days of electric lawnmowers are here, and this is a challenging application for electric because it's not an intermittent use. That blade has to be constantly spinning while you're mowing. And batteries have finally come far enough where that's a practical solution here. If you've got a lawn where you need about a half hour run time, I think this is about perfect for you, and you can also add batteries on. The nice thing about this machine is it's got plenty of power. You don't have to slow down. There are electric ones out there, be warned, battery electric, that do not have enough torque, that do not have enough power, and you're gonna have to slow down, and that's a nightmare. You're gonna think all electric are junk. Unfortunately, you just picked the wrong one. This machine is only 19 inches a cut, but I'll be honest, I didn't really notice the difference. I've had plenty of 21-inch mowers in the past. This doesn't seem particularly small when you're going along. Seems just fine, but Stihl also has 21-inch options if that makes a big difference to you. Where these electric lawn tools really start to make sense is when you start to get multiple tools with the same battery. So I've got my hedge trimmer here uses the same battery size as that lawnmower. So off the bat, one came with that, one came with this. I've got 2 batteries already. So whatever you do, if there's other major ones, Ego, all the different electric offerings, the thing that makes the most sense is to stay in the same ecosystem so you can share batteries across multiple lawn tool products. In my opinion, Stihl is at the top of the heap. There's others that are good as well. Think long and hard before you buy that first battery operated lawn tool, because that's likely going to kind of suck you into that ecosystem. So in my opinion, you should buy quality. Think about the Stihl. Made a great impression on me. Again, runtime isn't going to be as good as gasoline, but that's just the reality of it. And once you start accumulating different tools and batteries, you can just swap those out and keep going. Because I've got a pretty big yard, I'm going to stick with my gas-powered Simplicity lawn tractor for time savings. But this is a really good machine, and it is kind of nice getting a little exercise while you're cutting the grass. And it's quiet, it's not overpowering, you feel connected to kind of nature and the environment still when you're cutting. So it's definitely a cool piece. If you've got a smaller yard, I definitely recommend considering this. Thanks for watching. Adios.